and welcome to episode 19 of the Under Eagle Mountain Making Podcast. Hello, welcome back to my podcast. This is where I talk about what I've been making, what I'm currently making, and what I would like to make in the future. There is normally a mix of crafts. There has in the past been lots of knitting. If you've been here before, you'll know that knitting is having to take a bit of a break at the minute. I'm not going to go into that again. It's kind of still ongoing. I have been doing some sewing and I've been doing some yarn dyeing. Normally I kind of do all the things that I've done and then all the things that I'm doing or planning. I'm going to split it this time. I'm going to do sewing first and then yarn dyeing second. I've done a lot of yarn dyeing and because I enjoy it, I really love doing it. But it's not escaping me that I've got loads and loads of yarn and I can't do any knitting. It's kind of all just sitting there, and although I'm looking at it thinking, oh, that's really beautiful and I could make this out of it and I could make that out of it and I could do this and I could do that, actually I can't do any of that. And even once I start knitting again, I've got loads and loads of projects lined up, like already started, other ones lined up. I've got loads, everything that I've dyed is sock yarn, and I've got loads of sock yarn either that I bought or that I've already dyed in the past. So I am thinking that I'm thinking about offering it up for sale. So if you're not interested in yarn dyeing, or if you don't want to be sold to, that's absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. So I'm going to stick it in the second half of the video, so you can either stay and look, either out of curiosity, just to look at the yarn, because we all like looking at yarn, don't we? Or because you think, oh, well, I might like a skein of sock yarn. Then that'll all happen in sort of one go. So I'll do the sewing first, so that if you want to click off, you're absolutely fine. The other thing I was going to say is I have in the last few videos talked about books that I've read recently and like chatted about those. I'm not going to do this time just because I have read so many books, because I've not been using my hands very much and I'm really trying to rest them. I'm trying to avoid having an operation basically on both hands, so I'm trying to rest them. It just means I'm doing hardly anything. I can kind of sew on my machine, but like there's loads and loads of stuff I can't do. I can't drive for very long. I can't do like very much gardening. I could sort of do pottering about, but I can't do any digging or lifting, or even things like around the house. Like I'm doing no hoovering, no mopping, no heavy lifting, no ironing. Like I've really restricted what I'm doing in the hopes that they will get better. Or at least improve an awful lot. So it's just leaving me with loads of free time. The weather's been lovely, so I've been out doing walks and stuff, but I have been doing a lot of reading. So as a result, it would take forever if I talked about all the books that I've read recently here. So I think I might do a separate Patreon post on all the books that... Oh, excuse me. Sorry, the telephone rang. So I just needed to deal with that. Yeah, so I was just saying, I've read loads and loads of books. So I think I'll do a separate post in my Patreon to discuss all of those, because otherwise we'd be here all day. Just to mention, I have started a Patreon account a little while ago and it's totally free to access. It was just like as an extra place where you could watch these videos without adverts, or that everything with Instagram seems a bit unsure, lots of people are leaving, and I wanted an extra place where people could find me, but that they didn't have to sign up to another newsletter or another platform or something. You know, if you're already on Patreon, you just need to add me to it, and you know, that's easy enough if you want to. If you're not interested, that's fine. So yeah, sorry, I haven't got long to do it, so I feel like I'm rushing through, so I will try and slow down. If you saw a recent Instagram post, you'll know that I am going to join in with the Magic 3 Make-Along, which is a make-along hosted by Mimi at Yarn Chicks podcast, where it normally runs from the 1st of May to the 1st of October, I think, and it's where we make 3 things for children in our lives, usually a top, a bottom and a toy or / accessory. A few years ago, Mimi suggested that it might be nice if mamas sometimes made things for themselves, and you know, as a way of caring for ourselves and amongst caring for the children in our lives. That could be our children, or it could be children of friends, or I know some people make for children that they don't know, that they give via charities and things like that. So it is open to everyone, even if you don't have a child of your own. I have 4, so I have no shortage of children to make for, and I do have some plans to make for some of my children, but I have also plans to make things for myself, and I have actually completed that now. I started, I think I talked about it in the last video, I wanted to make like a matching set with that brown and cream gingham, and I made bob trousers, bob pants for the bottom, and I made a crop top, a cropped t-shirt. It's not that cropped, it's certainly not what anybody that grew up in the 80s and early 90s would think of as a crop top. I'll just make that very clear. A cropped t-shirt, a short t-shirt from Jacqueline Sislak's book Embody. I think I showed that last time and talked about that. So I have done that. I haven't actually tried them on. I'm not sold on the idea that I love them. I've tried the pants on and I've tried the top on, but I've not tried them on together, and I'm not 100% pleased with the outcome of either, which is really sad because I really love the material. So I've got them here to just kind of hold up because the material is really lovely. I really like it. That's the top. Now, the reason I'm not that keen on the top is I knew it was an A-line top, but I think because this is quite a stiff fabric, it really just kind of sticks out, whereas I think it's meant to be a bit more drapey. So that's just maybe a poor choice of fabric on my part, and I think I would prefer it if it was more squared off. So something like an all-well box top, which I've got the pattern for and I've made loads of in the past, but I wanted to try something different, and this had a few different techniques in. So it's got a wider neck facing that on the whole I'm quite pleased with. It's a tiny bit wonky there, and of course it would go wonky on the cream bit and not on the brown bit where you can't see the stitching. I looked at it for ages thinking, you know, I should just unpick it and straighten it up, but then I'd have like a start and a stop, you know, where you have to go backwards and forwards a little bit. So I'd have to like kind of unpick like all the front, and I just decided, you know, I'd end up cocking it up and making it like worse. So I was just going to leave it and accept it's handmade. You know, it's not perfect. So that's the top. I did alter the pattern slightly, so you can see on the back, I don't know if you can see, there they go, it's a join, and there should be a join on the front as well. Just according to the pattern, it has like 2 fronts and 2 backs, and you sew them. But I didn't, because of the gingham, I didn't want that. I did actually match it relatively well on the back, but I didn't want it on the front, so I just cut that on the fold. The trousers, they're fine, you know. I've made loads of bob pants before, and they've turned out well in terms of like the sewing of them and the cut and everything, but I've just I'll have to show you. I kind of don't want to show you, because I tried them on, and Mum was like, yeah, they look really nice, they look really good, and then I pointed out the bit that I didn't like, and she was like, oh, now I can't not see that, and I know exactly what you mean, so maybe I should just not tell anybody. I don't know. Basically, I didn't think about the pattern placement when I was laying out the fabric. I was just thinking about conserving the fabric so I could make a top and bottoms, and that's the back. And I'm quite happy about that. But then at the front, can you see I've got 2 dark stripes next to each other, and I wished I hadn't. There on the back I've got like a bit of dark and a bit of dark, and so it makes sort of a dark stripe, not like a whole stripe, but you get the impression, whereas there I've got 2 dark ones together, and I feel it's an unfortunate place to which to draw the eye. But there's not a lot I can do about that, unless basically I get more fabric and redo them, which I don't want to do because that seems like a waste. So like, do I just wear them with longer tops to hide that bit, or is this just me as a maker that's like zeroed in and like obsessed about something that most people won't notice? Like, But if I've got them on and somebody goes, oh, that looks weird, I think, oh no, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Am I just overthinking it? Do I need to do something about it? Should I only ever wear it with long tops? Like, so anyway, they're done, and they're made, and I'll try them on, and if I'm feeling brave, I'll take a little picture or a little video and I'll put it in here. If not, I'll take like a picture of them separately, like on a hanger or whatever, so you can see them better than me just trying to hold it up in this little screen here. But yeah, they're done. They're, you know, they're what they are. And then the other thing I made, which if you do follow me on Patreon, you might have seen last week, is I've made something out of this lovely material. This is a Liberty Tana lawn, and it's from they did a line called a Liberty Odyssey, which is like all each of the patterns, each of the fabrics were the designs were inspired by like Greek mythology. And this one I made it, you may have seen last year I made a skirt, a bramble skirt by Lorna at Thread and Yarn, out of one called Artemis, and I had like, it was a forest, it was on a white background and it had like little deer and little birds and little trees, and it was really lovely. And I bought this one at the same time, and this one is called Adonis. And it's a bit bold for me. Like, I don't normally go for such a pattern, like such a strong pattern. Like my husband said, oh, that's a lot of pattern, and he's right. I don't normally. I had thought I was going to make a skirt out of it, so I don't know, but I've made, it is a zero waist tie top, and it's a pattern by Birgitta Helmerson. It's not in the book, in her book, it's a standalone pattern. And I don't know, I was just looking at some, I don't know how I came across it. I was just looking, I'll come on to it. I was looking for a top pattern for my daughter, and I saw this, and you get 4 different views of the pattern. There's a sleeveless top where the tie comes at the front like in a V, and you have like a bow at the front. There's, oh no, that's short sleeves. There's a sleeveless one with the tie at the back, and there's like and they're both quite a cropped length, and then there's like a hip length one with the ribbon at the back, and then there's this one which is like mid-thigh length with the ribbon at the back. If I can find a graphic, I'll put it up so you can see what I mean. So there are 4 different views, and it's really good that you've got the choice, but because it's zero waist, you can't necessarily mix and match them. Like, you can't necessarily get the, you know, the V with the bow at the front with a longer sleeve, with a shorter sleeve, or the short sleeved one with it at the front or whatever, because you end up wasting fabric and it doesn't work with the way you cut it. So it would need a bit of thinking about how to do that, if all of that makes sense. But I really liked the longest view because you could wear it as a dress with, say, jeans or leggings or whatever, or you could as a top, or you could wear it as a dress, particularly because I'm a bit smaller, I think, than average, or smaller than the person for whom the pattern was made. So it is a bit longer on me. It's very, very like high up, top half of the thigh, I would say, on the model, whereas on me it's like maybe a couple of inches above my knee. It's not too short, so I think you could get away with it. And it's a good pattern. It's got, see, there's the tie at the back. It was good to do. It was really interesting. It's got like an open split at the back. Mine was not 100% zero waist. I'm going to own up now. Partly where you cut out for the back and the front, you end up with like little sort of either semicircular or little sort of half oval pieces of fabric, and then in order to use those up, they get used as facings. And in some tops, so like I've made the zero waist slip out of her book, you use the facings on the, like on the side seam where there's a split, and it kind of makes sense. They're the same on both sides. It makes sense that they're there. It's like, it seems like a deliberate part of the pattern. But I felt on this, it was just there to use them up. And I know that's kind of the point of zero waist, is that you don't end up with any waste. but I just didn't do it because I thought it's just a step for the sake of it. And then when you sew it on, you get this like the outline of it in stitching on the front and the back, and I didn't want it, particularly because they don't match. They're different on the front and different on the back. So I've just put those pieces into my scrap pile that I do like hexagon patchwork from and stuff like that. So they will get used, or most of it will get used. There might be the odd scrap that'll end up on the compost heap. So it's not, and it's also not 100% zero waste, because I had to take length off the sleeve. Before I put the cuff on, the sleeve was already like down here, so when you put the cuff on, it would have been like there. So I had to take some off. They are still very full length with the cuffs on, but they do look better. It just would have looked, they would have looked wrong. The only other thing that I changed were there are darts, bust darts, and the instructions were that you measured 14 inches down for the first notch for the bust dart, and then another 1.5 inches for the second notch. That seemed like a very long way for me. I measured from my chest to like the apex of my bust, and that was like 10.5 inches. So I felt like that would, you know, it was going to be around my belly button almost. But I couldn't lift it up as high as I wanted, because then it would have been in the sleeve area here, and I thought I didn't know. I don't know. I had concerns about that might not be right, so I just went down. I just took 1 inch off. I think I went to 13. They are still way lower than my, like they're here, and my bust's up here. So, but I did look at the pattern, and they did seem to be low down on the pattern photos. Sorry, and they did seem to be lower down on the models as well. So I don't know if I made another one. I'm not sure how I'd change that. I also don't have a very big bust, so I suppose the bigger your bust, the better that placement might be. I have got a picture of me in this slightly awkward picture, but I'll put it in so you can see. I'm thinking like I've got some big gold hoop earrings, I've got some gold sandals, and I think, you know, on a sunny day, like going out for a drink, or if you're on holiday, I'd never do any of those sorts of things, but if I did, that's what I'd wear. So I'm glad I made it. I really like it, and I need like somebody I know to have like a summer wedding or something, and then it would be perfect. So I've only got one whip, and it's not really a proper sewing whip really. If you followed me on Instagram a couple of years ago, I think 2 years ago, as part of Magic 3 Mal, I made a pair of trousers for my daughter. I can't remember what the pattern is. It was like an old, I have got it somewhere. It was like an old Simplicity pattern, I think, that I bought from a charity shop for like 50p. And it had a top and a pair of flared trousers. And it's, you know, it was all like in the 70s, they just used to come in one size. You know, you'd buy a pattern for a size 8 or 10 or 12, but rather than having all the different sizes in one. And it was one of those, but it was a children's pattern, so I think it was age 14. And I made it for my daughter, who would have been 13, 12 or 13, I can't exactly remember, 12 or 13 at the time. And I made it in this really lovely dead stock fabric that I bought, I think, from Merchant and Mills. It was in the sale. Oh, it's a thread. So they're quite flary at the bottom, but they're fitted at the waist. They've got a fixed waistband. They've got waist darts, 2 at the front, 2 at the back. It's got a zip. It's the first time I put a zip in. It's decidedly not invisible. I mean, it's not actually an invisible zip. I think possibly at the time I did it, I didn't realise that there was a difference between normal zips and invisible zips. I know that there is now. It also doesn't go all the way up. You can see, like, there is a gap. I would not be winning the sewing bee. But it's the first time I ever put a zip in anything, so I was quite proud. It wasn't too bad. But you can see I never put the fastening on, because when she tried them on, they were just massive. They were like laughably big on her. And but I did think, oh, they're going to fit me. And they kind of do fit me. Like, I can get them in and zip them up. And I can even sit down in them. Like, they're not so tight, but I definitely can't eat in them. And, you know, I really like eating, and I need space in the clothes to be able to eat. So they just went into a cupboard, and I'm really sad because I love the fabric, and I kind of wish that I'd made something for me. But anyway, I made them for her, and I make her try them on about every 6 months. And she tried them on last week, and she was like, yes, they fit me, Mama, I can wear them. So I need to put a fastening on. So I've rummaged around in my button box and found a pink button. So that's going to go on. And then she has got a jumper that I knitted her a while ago, which I think will go. But we've got lovely warm weather at the moment, and I'm hoping that we'll have warm weather over the summer, and like, you know, the kids won't break up from school and it'll just rain solidly for 6 weeks, but we will see. But she said, please, could you make me a summer top to go with them? So of course I said yes, I can. So that's why I was looking, that's why I was looking for a pattern for her when I came across the zero waist tie top, and I just got obsessed and had to make it for myself. I really wanted to do it, and I just did it in like 2 days. But I came across this pattern. I'll put a photo up. It's the Inez top, and I think that will look really nice with those trousers, because they're really nice and fitted at the waist and round her bum, and then they've got nice wide legs. So I think this is nice and fitted at the waist too, but it's got quite wide shoulders, you know, a bit of structure to it, and I think it'll really flatter her shape, and I think she'll look nice in it. So I bought this bright pink cotton poplin. Where did I buy it from? Dalston Mill Fabrics. It's an organic cotton poplin. It is bright pink. Like, I'm not sure this is what she would normally go for, but I think it'll look really good with those trousers. I have showed it to her and she's perfectly happy. And actually maybe that's not true, because 3 or 4 years ago she had a pair of absolutely fluorescent pink Doc Martens. They were like fluorescent pink, like this pink patent leather Doc Martens. So maybe she, you know, just as a little pop of colour, because she mostly wears black, if I'm totally honest. But she did really like those trousers, and she'd said like maybe a pink top to go with the zip. So that is going to happen, hopefully. I don't know. Although I've been sewing a long time, like I've been sewing longer than I've been knitting really, I feel less confident with sewing. I think knitting, it's always so easy to unravel it, isn't it? Whereas with sewing, like once you've cut it, that's it. And there are only so many. I mean, I was thinking to myself the other day, I need to change the blade in my unpicker, because it has been used so much that it is now blunt. It is probably my most, I probably unpick like half as many seams as I sew. But I find sewing a bit more stressful. So and I don't think there's anything too complicated in that pattern. Like, there's nothing that I couldn't do, but I just feel slightly anxious about it. But I'm going to give it a go. So that's kind of like a bonus make really for her, because the the Magic 3 make along set that I'd planned for her, well, it's going to be made out of this material, which I think on screen it'll look like the background is black, but it's not. This is like a very, very dark sort of petrol-y green. It's not really showing up, but it's not black, but from a distance it will look like that, but it's a really dark green. And then it has these really big graphic flowers, and then bright colours. And I saw that, I don't even know where I got this from. It was a dead stock, like an end of roll remnant type thing, and I just saw it and I thought, she'll like that, she'll wear that. And even though it's quite bright colours, I just think that she will. And I showed it and she was really pleased with it, which kind of made me happy to know that I can still pick stuff that she'll like. So she wants a very long gathered skirt. She just wants a wide elasticated waistband. She wants it to be as full as I can make it, with it still looking nice. She wants pockets, and she wants it full length, and she's toying with the idea of whether she wants like a shallow ruffle around the bottom, like just like she's got a tiered skirt. It's got like 1, 2, 3 tiers, but she's thinking like maybe just a shallow ruffle, like 3 inches, something like that, around the bottom. And I've had the fabric for ages and ages, like months, but I haven't made it yet because she kind of wants to do it with me. She has made herself a skirt before, but she's not done pockets, and she knows that she'd made a few mistakes and things, so she wants me to do it with her. Kind of, she wants to do the sewing, but she wants me to say, no, now do this, now do that. And just with one thing and another, she hasn't found the time. But I want to make the time and do that. And I think there will be some left over. I would like to make her, she's going to have a matching set too, because I would like to make a cropped version of the zero waist slip from Birgitta Helmeson's book. So I've made it before. There you go, the singlet, that's what it's called. Can you see that? Let me see if I've got, I think there's a drawing. So it looks like that. So you can see there on that picture, that semicircle, that is the cutouts from the arms. And I think that's where, like, using the facings is really worthwhile. It like adds something to the top. I didn't think it added anything to the dress, so that's why I didn't bother. So there is like a cropped version. So there she's used like a patchwork of fabric. I won't use that. I'll just use that fabric. It doesn't take very much fabric. It's really clever. There's another picture. So look, there's another one. Just how it looks with a skirt. I think it'll look really nice. And again, my daughter's very keen on that. So they make up the top and the bottom of her Magic 3 Mel set. And then if I was knitting, which I'm not, but if I was, I would knit her. She wanted like a black, I have got it. It's just black mohair, I won't show it. It's just knitting. No, it's not knitting for Olive, it's onion, black silk mohair. And she just like a t-shirt, not too tight, kind of flowy t-shirt, but just held in silk mohair, held singly, so she could wear it over a dress, or she could just wear it over like a crop top or something. So it'd be quite sheer, but she's, you know, she's coming up on 16, so I think that would be okay. It'd look quite cool over the top of a dress or over the top of a vest or something like that, as an extra little layer. So that would be like the third thing for her set. But given that I can't knit, I might make her a bestie bag. Again, if you've been here a while, you've seen I'd made a little denim one for my youngest child. My daughter liked that bag, but then I saw on Stitchcraft, Leah's YouTube, she's called Stitchcraft here on YouTube and on Instagram, she made a bestie bag for herself, like again one of the little ones, the mini ones, or it's called Baby, I think it might be called. And instead of having like the long strap that went round and then a loop on the other side and you tie them two together, she had 2 straps and she tied them in a little bow here, and it looked so sweet. It was really nice, and I thought I could make my girl one of those, but she would probably want it in black, and I don't have any black fabric to hand, I don't think. So I was thinking like if I had excess pink or whatever, I could use that to line it, and maybe with a pink zip, and that would look pretty cool. But I would have to buy the black fabric from which to make that. So like that third element is a bit, let's wait and see. I've got till the end of September, so I've got a while. So yeah, that's my sewing plans. My last sewing plan is, as I said, I've done lots of yarn dyeing. Some of it, the yarn was dyed and then bundle dyed, and there are different ways of bundle dyeing, but one of the ways you can do it is to lay the dye stuff and the yarn in fabric and then tie it up in a bundle in fabric and steam it. And when you do that, obviously you get fabric that has been dyed as well. So these are the ones that I have. This is my favourite one, I think. So I went to Beyond Measure, which is quite local to me, and just bought, they have like a big box full of different zips, different sizes and different colours, and I just picked out some colours that I thought would go nicely, and I'm just going to make some pouches, notion pouches, or slightly bigger project back size pouches out of those, because I thought that would be a good use for that lovely material. It's really pretty. It's maybe not showing up as nicely here, but it is really pretty. So that's going to be a sewing project, and that's it for sewing, really. So if you don't want to look at yarn, that's fine, and I'll see you again hopefully soon. If you do, I'll just go through it. I don't know, somebody said to me last year, would you ever sell your yarn? And I was like, oh, I don't know, I don't think my yarn's good enough to sell. I don't think anybody would want to buy my yarn. I think it was maybe even the year before when I did the calendar. Again, if you've not been here and this is your first time, you don't know what I'm talking about. A couple of years ago, I dyed a different skein of yarn every month in a colour that like signified that month to me. So where are we? May I did like a really soft lilac colour, because we have a lilac tree that flowers by the back door. So that sort of thing. And somebody said at that time, would you ever sell it? And I was like, oh, I don't think anybody would want to buy it. But a few people have mentioned it between then and now. And when I was at Woolly Good Gathering, I was chatting to Claire, and she said, well, you could just do like a little story sale. Like you could just see if somebody would wanted to, like you wouldn't be losing anything. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I'd bought some sock yarn, and I just went a bit wild and like really enjoyed dyeing it this spring. But now I've got 25 skeins of sock yarn. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with all of this? So the answer is I'm going to maybe sell it. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Hello. So there has been a gap of a few hours actually since I finished talking about the sewing portion of the video, because I did say I didn't have a huge amount of time, and that's because I had to run to school to pick the boys up, and I was sort of chatting away endlessly about my sewing, and all of a sudden I thought, oh my goodness, and I had to kind of stop and dash down. So I'm sorry about that. There's been I've got them, we've had a play, we've had dinner, and now they're all off doing their activities, so I might well be interrupted. I'm sorry if I am. I've also moved position slightly. I'm now sat like bang in front of the window because the light's changed, and when I sat in my chair over here, the colours weren't showing up very well for the yarn, and actually they're still not brilliant. They're kind of blowing out a bit, so they kind of, some of them are looking a bit duller, which is not exactly ideal. They're looking a bit, the greens, for example, are looking a little bit grayer than they are in real life. So I think what I will do is tomorrow morning, when the light's a bit better, I will try and take some, either with like a plain wooden background or maybe a white background, and I maybe insert them here, or if and when I get around to selling things, like those pictures will hopefully be a bit more true to life than the colours I've got here. But I'm going to go through them and show them, mainly because I'm not quite ready for putting them up for sale yet, because I haven't figured out how I'm going to do it. I don't know, like if I should just do a story sale and sort of say, you know, DM me with yes please or whatever, or whether I should I was going to say whether I should set up a website. I have no idea how to do that, so that's not going to happen. But whether, like, I don't know, I could get like an Etsy shop or something like that, so I'm not really sure. So I guess as I'm chatting through all of this, I'm actually going to be asking for some help, like some ideas and some feedback, and in no way expecting anybody to commit themselves to anything. Like, I'm not saying, yes, I definitely want to buy something. I don't mean that. I just mean, like, if you think about what would be easy for you if you wanted to, or like how you like buying sock sets, things like that. So for example, I've got most of the things I've got are like a solid colour, well they're a bit tonal, but like just one colour. I've got I think 5 or 6 which are bundle dyed, so you get like that sort of speckly variegated like effect when you knit them up. So one of the questions I've got is, do you think I should do more of those? Because I have got some pale solids that I would happily bundle dyes to get more of the variegated tones. So I just didn't know what would be more popular, and so I know that I can add to the plain ones, but I can't take it away, if you see what I mean. And the other thing was, I've got I've just left them all as 100-gram skeins at the minute, but I was thinking that there's a couple of the stronger colours that I might divide up into 20-gram minis and then like put them with one of the other skeins to make like a sock set. I quite like a sock set. I like buying a sock set, but not everybody does, you know, and some people buy sock yarn for things other than socks, you know, either for knitting like a lightweight t-shirt or for a shawl or whatever, so you then might not want the mini. Or another option is, should I split quite a few of them up and then sell like bundles of 5 minis to get, you know, 5 20-gram skeins. So if you have any advice or, you know, a 2 pennies worth or whatever, please feel free to leave it in the comments. I would very much appreciate it. So I'll probably waffle about it as I go on. I've got sort of pinks and peaches, I've got sort of greens, and I've got browns, which if you know me, kind of possibly not a surprise. So the first ones I've got are avocado. So this is the first skein that I've got. It's like a really nice warm pink, like a proper pink. It's not cold, but it's what I would think of as like a shell pink. So that was the first dye bath, and then the first exhaust bath was this one, and you can see, if I can get all the labels out of the way, you can see that that's a bit more peachy. It's a bit paler and it's a bit more peachy in tone, whereas that's much pinker. That's a bit better. So I then did put another skein in the exhaust, and that came out really pale. So then I bundled that with ground walnut shells, you know, just like the brown dried shells, and some tea leaves. So like I just saved up tea leaves for a while, like tea bags, and I just emptied them out, sprinkled them on. So that's made it, it sort of has a pinky undertone, but it's much brownier. So they're the sort of avocado base. I really like that proper pink. That one, that's my favourite. I love it. I love a bit of pink. And then I've got 2 of these. These are heather. So these are much sort of peachier, like really pale, like, I don't know, like orange sherbety. So for example, if I get that pink, you can see the difference. Oh, they're like super ice creamy. I can hear my daughter coming in. So yeah, they look really nice. I've gone a bit weird, can you tell? Okay, I'm just going to tell her. No, she's gone away again. So that was the pinks and the peaches, and then I kind of moved into browns. So these are alder cones. We've got lots of alder trees. I should say that everything that I'm going to show you has been dyed with whole dye stuffs. So that means like actual parts of plants. So like the avocado, it was the stones. The heather, it was like all of the aerial parts. So they're like the twiggy bits and the leaves and the flowers. These are alder cones. We have trees at the bottom of the garden, so we just collect those every time it's windy. And then Everything else, it's either like kitchen waste, like oh, sorry, Captain Haddock, you know, like onion skins and stuff that I've collected, or plants that I've grown. Some of them are flowers that I've grew last year and I've dried or frozen. So they've all like actual parts of plants, not any extracts. Like I've said before, there's nothing wrong with using extracts. Like I have used them before, and particularly for like indigo. I haven't grown my own indigo. I have done it with got blue with woad before, and I think if you're dyeing on a larger scale, you know, if you need 50 or 100 or 200 skeins of one colourway, you need to be able to use that sort of powdered pigment, so that you have like a recipe, you know, like this many grams of that and this many grams of this, and that will give you that same colour over again, like a consistent colour. That would be much harder to do with like whole plant stuffs, because the cat's distracting me, sorry, because when you collect it, where you collect it from, what the soil's like, what the weather's been like, the time of year that you collect it, all those sorts of things make a huge difference to the colour that you get at the end of it. So to me, that's like part of the magic, is that I can put plants in and I get colour out, rather than just, you know, mixing up powders to a recipe and getting a colour. So that maybe is a bit different from like other, like bigger plant dyers, you know, natural dyers. So that's why there's only like 2 of this and 3 of this and 1 of those. It's because of that. It was limited by the amount of plant stuff that I had. So I just wanted to say that. So this is the brown from the alder cone, and it's really nice, warm, sort of sandy colour. Like if I compare it to the heather, you can see this is much more peachy and this is much more brown. It's like a camel colour. Hello, darling. Yeah. She didn't know I was doing a video, so I think she thought I was being a bit weird, so by the window talking to myself. So sorry, it's a bit bitty now. And then these are alder cone ones that went in the exhaust. So when a bit the colour had been used up, it's paler, and then a bundle dyed. They actually look very similar to the yarn that I dyed for my Louvre sweater, if you've seen that either here or on Instagram. But that was different. That was brown onion skin with like different things to make the speckles. This has brown onion skins and eucalyptus leaves and a bit of tea. So I think like the speckly bit, like the brown speckly bits here, that's the tea. This sort of yellow and then this larger brown bits, that's the brown onion skin, and then this really kind of mega orange, like quite violent orange, that's the eucalyptus leaves. Like when I unwrapped the bundles, you just peeled the leaf off and you had this leaf shaped bit of like bright orange. I really like those. I think I'd be quite tempted to keep one of those, and then I could have matching socks for my jumper. That would be so cute. Bit sad. So that's all of those together. So this is what I mean. Like I think these are really beautiful. Like, would people want a plain alder one, or would you want sort of more jazzy bundle dyed ones? But you see that you could have like this with 20 grams of that, so that was then your cuff and your toe, or your cuff and heel, or it depends. I've got little feet, so I could probably get like a cuff, a heel and a toe for 2 socks out of 20 grams, but it depends what size sock you knit in. But you know, those together I think look really sweet. So, but it wouldn't look nice with that, I don't think. It's too different. So that's kind of what I'm meaning. And then this is another good, well, I might come back to that. So then I've got greens. Now the greens don't show up brilliantly So these are ones that I have actually, if you looked at my Instagram, you will have seen them. So these are my greens from Red Onion Skin. These all come from one dye bath. So this was the first dye bath, first exhaust, second exhaust, third exhaust. Like I say, they're looking really a bit washed out and a bit grayer and a bit kind of yellowier on here. This is like a really lovely deep forest green in real life. This one is really mossy, like much less yellow, much kind of richer. This is like a really nice limey green, and then this one is a paler version of that. So I'll definitely need to put in a photo to show that off better. So I think they would make nice socks in and of themselves, but then, you know, you might want a paler one with a darker mini, or maybe you know, a mini that you could then use to do some stripes, you know, like sporty stripes at the top, rather than just cuffs and heels and whatever. So that, like I said, they all came from Red Onion Skin, all from one dye bath. When I make the dye baths for lots of things, they've got little bitty things that might tend to break up a bit in the water. I tend to make what I think of as like big tea bags. So I don't know, sometimes at supermarkets, when you get your loose fruit and veg, they sell like reusable plastic mesh bags. So very, very fine plastic mesh fabric, and just bags with like a drawstring basically, and they're sold for like 50p. And so I've bought a handful of those because they're really good. You just put all your dye stuff in, you put it in the pan and it seeps, and then you can take it all away, and it helps reduce the amount of bits that you get in, bits of dye stuff that you get in your yarn. Obviously if you bundle dyeing, you can't avoid that, because that has to come in direct contact with the yarn. But yeah, tea bags are really good. So once I'd done that, I put the I still felt there was quite a bit of colour in those Red Onion skins, even though like the last one had come out like this. I hadn't put the bag back in, so when I put it back in and heated it up, there was still a bit of colour. So I topped up that bag with brown onion skins to try and get like a bit of a variation. So a mix of brown and Red Onion skins gave me this colour, which is kind of, it's like a browny green, like quite a goldy browny green. I think of it myself as like a lizardy green. It's really nice. It's looking a little yellower there, sort of a bit flat compared to how it is in real life. But then, although there was still colour, I put it back in and heated it up again because I knew there would still be colour in those skins, but much more of the colour was from the yellow onion skins. So instead of getting like yellow onion skins, looks a bit like the older by itself, but because it just had that bit of the red in, it gave you this really kind of, it's coming out a lot yellowier there. There is more of a green tinge to it, so that looks a bit mustard. It's actually like what I would think of as a chartreuse, like that sort of acid yellowy green. So again, I'll need to make sure I get a better picture of that, but I do like that. And I think, I'm jumping ahead now to show something else, but you see what I mean? Like this is, I'll explain what that is in a minute, but a 20 gram mini of that I think would look really lovely with that. So I'll come back to that in a minute. So anyway, they're the onion skins. Oh well, why don't I do these now while they're here? Whoop. So this is ground elder. Sadly, it's quite a bit of ground elder in and around our garden. Most of it actually, fortunately, is not quite in the garden. We have like, we're at the top of the lane, and there's our gate and there's a stile going onto the footpath on the hillside, and then there's like a flower bed there. Some previous owner must have sort of dug it out, but it is now just full of ground elder. And I think you can eat ground elder. Somebody told me it had like a cucumbery taste. I imagine there's a certain amount of dog wheat on that patch, so I'm not eating anything from there. But when the leaves first came up, I did and they were new. I did collect them for dyeing because I found out last year that you could dye with them, and you get this sort of very pale, slightly limey green. It almost looks like, you know, that glow in the dark green that you can get, like glow in the dark pens or those little stars. Those little stars that you stick on the ceiling. It's the sort of colour of those when they're not glowing, like in daylight, if that makes sense. It's that sort of yeah, pale yellowy lime, but it's quite bright. But then the second two, like the first exhaust, were the same sort of limey green, but not quite as. See, it's a bit darker. It is a bit grayer. It's not as grey as it looks there, if I'm honest. This to me is exactly the colour of the green opal fruits. If you remember those from your childhood, I don't think they're called opal fruits anymore. That's how old I am. But it's exactly that sort of washed out lime green colour. And this is what I mean. So I did bundle dye one of those, and I really liked how it turned out. So that's red onion skins, marigold and tea leaves. And you've got so like this speckly brown bit here, that's from the tea leaves. This green, and in places it almost looks blue, that green. I mean, it's not as green, but it's just the way it's come out. It's like a tealy colour almost. That's the red onion, and then this yellow is the marigold. And I think there are like little blue bits. Oh look, there's a tiny bit of marigold flower stuck in there. There are some slightly bluer bits from the stamen on the marigolds as well, tucked in there somewhere. So I think that's really beautiful. Yeah, that's a more realistic colour. So this is one of the things I was saying. I've got two of those. That's what I should have said. There you go, that's the other one. You can see like more of that dark. See that bit's almost bluey. I've got two that are just pale. Should I then bundle dye those so they look like those? Like, to me, that's more interesting and beautiful, but some people might just want very pale, very gentle, sort of botanical socks rather than jazzy socks. Or they might not want them for socks, they might want them for whatever, a t-shirt. So yeah, and then going from that into the last ones, I think. Look at that. That is so bright. That is what you call canary yellow. You can't get. It's even brighter in real life than it looks. It is a proper yellow. That's from Sweet Cicely, which was one of my favourite things to dye with, not only because it gives you this amazing colour, but because it smells so beautiful, the dye bath. You know, it just gets this amazing aniseedy smell. So that I've just got one of that, and that would be a prime one to break up into 20-gram skeins. I don't know, there might be somebody out there that wants absolutely canary yellow socks, but there might not. But that would look really nice with that, for example. I think like it would pick up the yellow in that. I think it would look really, really super. I think it would also look nice with one of the greens. Oh, the greens that aren't showing up. If you're really jazzy, you might want pink and yellow. And then there's this one. This is the exhaust bath from the Sweet Cicely. So much paler. And then I bundle dyed that with red onion and coreopsis flowers. So again, the flowers I grew last summer. I've got more growing this year. That really lovely oranges from the coreopsis. So that's it. I think I've shown all of them. So just to reiterate, forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, just to reiterate, should I leave them as 100-gram skeins, or would you like sock sets with 20-gram skeins, or do you think there's space for like a bundle of minis? Because I could do a bit of everything. That's one. Second is, should I do more bundle dyes? It does take quite a lot of extra work to do the bundle dyeing, because obviously you scour it, mordant it, dye it, and then you have to remordant it to make sure that all the bundle stuff sticks to it, and then re-dye it. And it's more energy, it's more time, it's more resources, it's more water, it's everything. So I'm really happy to do it. I enjoy doing it. It's so exciting on doing the bundles and seeing what you've got. But I thought I'd err on the side of caution and not put in the extra work if people were like, oh, I just would have preferred like the pale green or the bright yellow or whatever. So that's number 2. Number 3, I suppose, is, should I even bother? Like, I don't know, is it worth it? And number 4 would be like, what do you think the best way, like through stories or through Etsy or whatever. The only other thing I thought I'd talk about, what I should say, there's 2 other things. One is that this is all 100% sock wool. It's non-superwash, no nylon. It's 100% Corriedale wool, high twist. I bought it from Laxton's Mill. I know a lot of dyers, both natural dyers and acid dyers, dye on bases from Laxton's Mill. I think they're a really good mill. They offer like a range of bases. This is one that's 100% British wool, and it's spun in Britain. The mill is about an hour from here, so you can go to the website and see what it is like in its undyed form, so you know exactly what it is. Like, I want to be really open and transparent. I know some people, like some natural dyers, say, oh, this is my sock base, and I know some people do, like Emma Robinson and Eula from Wool and Twine. They do. Emma Robinson from Woolly Mammoth Fibres, they do like have custom spun yarns just for them, so that that is. But other dyes, I know they just say, oh well, it's my it's my base and blah, blah. And I think, well, I think that's the same base that I'm using. So I don't know, I'm not being difficult about it. I'm just saying I want to be as open and transparent so you can see exactly where I'm getting it from and check if it's something that you would like. So the Laxton's Mill website is there. It's easy to look at. You could just go to the undyed yarn and it would be there as Corriedale sock yarn. So that's that. And the other thing I was going to say is price. I mentioned Woolly Mammoth Fibre Company and Wool and Twine. I think they are kind of at the top end of natural dyers. They do get a lot of custom spun. They are both excellent natural dyers. Emma uses a mix of extracts, and then she does also grow quite a lot of her plant fibres, her plant stuff as well, so she's a mix. And I think they're what I would think of as very professional yarn dyers. I would not put myself in that camp. So looking at them, they sell like a single skein for like £26-28, something around there, and Emma has like sock sets or whatever for 30 plus, which I think is really reasonable for the quality of the yarn and the dyeing and everything that goes into it. So I'm in no way suggesting that's too much money. I'm just saying I don't think my value is, that I provide equivalent value, I guess is what I'm saying. I think that, I don't know, maybe I'm being unfair to myself, but that's what I think. They're kind of the best. But at the same time, I don't want to say, well, this is just a hobby and, I don't need to make profit on it. I'll just flog it for 10 or 15 quid and just to fund my hobby. I don't want to do that because I think it does take away a little bit to the time and the effort and the skill that I do have and that I have put in to producing like a really nice range of colours. I'm quite proud of them. But also I think it undermines the message that things that are handmade that are made in a sort of thoughtful, intentional way, in a way that often takes more time than, you know, something that is mass produced. They need to cost more because of the time, effort, the whole process. You know, it something that's sort of handmade, or is it artisanally? Is that word artisanal made? It needs to cost more, and if I start flogging it off dead cheap, then that really undermines that message. People are going to look and say, oh well, this skein of naturally dyed, you know, plant-based dyes, 100% wool yarn, that only costs 15 quid, and this one costs 30 quid, so that person's ripping me off. Well, they're not. That person's charging appropriately and I'm charging too little, and so it's not fair, if that makes sense. So I think I would want to come down somewhere in the middle. I would probably, for a plain, I don't know if I should charge more for the bundle dyes, because it does take, it's like doing it all twice, but I think probably not. I think I'd probably just kind of take that. I think like 20 to 21 pounds. I was thinking 21 pounds for a single skein, and then a sock set, like with a 20-gram mini. I think, like, my rough calculations, I came out as £24.50, which I know is very precise, but that's what I'm thinking. Like, so between 20 and 25 pounds, something around about that, is what I was working on. And then obviously postage on top, which, like, if you're watching in Europe, I'm not a business person, but I know that there's an issue in selling from the UK to Europe at the minute, so I don't know if I could do that. And whilst I have a lot of people watching in America, I'm not sure that you necessarily want to buy like a skein of, I mean, I'm very happy to sell you a skein of yarn and post it to America if you're happy to pay the postage. Like, you know, I'm very pleased to do that, but you might be able to find somebody doing an equivalent job in America, which would be cheaper for you. So I guess mostly I'm talking to UK people, but, you know, if you have a burning desire, speak to me and I will see what I can do for you. So yeah, I don't know, I need help, basically is what I'm saying. I've never done anything like this before, and I've got it all here in front of me, and I think it's lovely, and I don't want it all to just sit in a box in my house waiting and hoping that one day it'll get knitted. And also I've got other yarn that I want to dye. I've got some 4-ply yarn, and I've got some DK weight yarn, and I want to keep doing it because I love dyeing so much, but I have to be reasonable. I can't just keep it all, but I also can't just give it all away, because, you know, I have to justify the money that I put into buying it, and the time and the effort and everything that I spend into making it. I need to, you know, that needs to be recouped or repaid in some way, because you know, otherwise I'm just taking money and time out of my family, which is not really fair. So that's where I'm at. Congratulations if you have gone to this point. I'm really grateful if you have, and I'm really grateful for any advice, any comments, any ideas, you know, that people might have, especially if you've done this sort of things before. I think it would be very cash. Like, I don't think I'm setting up a major business. This is not going to form a part of my livelihood, but I would like it to be like an outlet for my creativity, I guess, especially seeing as my creativity is so curbed at the minute. I'm going to stop talking. I'm talking like in circles. Give me your advice. Give me your ideas. I'm really, really grateful for anything that you could do to help. All right. Take care, and I'll see you soon.